Hi, my name is Matt Kendricks. I'm the project lead for dSIPRouter. So today I'm going to be talking about a very important component of dSIPRouter, which is inbound routes. We hardly talk about inbound routes, so this is why we decided to do this video today. So inbound routes is a way that you're able to route DIDs from your carrier to your media servers. Inside of dSIPRouter, that is done through a concept called endpoint groups. So basically, you define a DID in your inbound routes and you specify what endpoint group, aka what media server, that you want to send the call to. So I'm going to go through setting up a simple inbound route. Then I'll jump into how do you actually import a large number of DIDs if you need to. And then I'm going to talk through a feature called hard forwarding, which is a feature that's been in dSIPRouter for a while, but this whole talk has been inspired by watching a particular customer use inbound routes, and in particular the hard forwarding feature. They're using it for a mechanism that we didn't design it for. And so that's very exciting. So I'll point that out in the video as I get into the hard forwarding piece. But let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we need to do is we need to, even though we're talking about DIDs and we need to set up DIDs, but DIDs need to be routed somewhere. It needs to be routed to some media server somewhere. And you define those inside of endpoint groups. So we're going to go ahead and add a endpoint group. We're just going to call it FreePBX because I have a FreePBX server here. The name of that FreePBX server is freepbx.dsiprouter.net. The default ports, we're going to take all the default stuff here and we're going to save it and we're going to add it to dSIPRouter. I'm not going to reload yet. By the way, reload is necessary in order for the actual configuration to go live within Camilio. But in this case, we're going to do a couple more things and then we'll click the reload button. So now that we have an endpoint group, let's go over to inbound routes, which is where we're going to spend most of our time today. So inbound routes is where you define your DIDs coming in. So there's a couple of different things that you need to know about this. One, our design principle is to make this as simple as possible, right? We get pushed every day in order to make this more complex for people, but we are pushing back because we want this to be as simplistic as possible. So if you want to add a DID, is that you can click the add button and then we'll just add a test one. So a test DID is the friendly name. I actually have a DID here. So I'll just use this 13134860408 and I can specify the endpoint group. So one quick thing here is that you'll notice that we created a endpoint group called FreePBX. And you'll notice that is listed here, but it's also a FreePBX LB here. And this is what sometimes people get confused about. So if you just select FreePBX, it will use a component of Camilio called derouting in order to route the call to the media server. And basically, it will try the first media server that's in the list. And then if that doesn't work, it will actually try another media server. But it doesn't have no load balancing capability. It doesn't have the whole concept of like, let me round robin, request to this backend media server. If you want that, then you'll hit FreePBX LB, stands for load balancer. Okay, so that gets a little confusing for people. So we'll set this up, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about hard forwarding. There's also something called failover forwarding. So for some reason, if it's not able to route to this endpoint group, it'll be able to route somewhere else. I will save that for another day, but this one is around, what we're going to focus on is around hard forwarding a little bit later on, okay? But I want to at least right now get the basics down so you at least understand how to set up a DID inside of dSIPRouter. So now that we clicked add here, and now we'll go ahead and click reload and reload Camilio. All right, that was successful. So now This particular DID actually belongs to a carrier by the name of FlowRoute. Okay, and FlowRoute is one of our standard DIDs that ship with dSIPRouter. Not DIDs, sorry, carriers that ship with dSIPRouter. And we actually put down some of their endpoints, their POPs, point of presence, inside of dSIPRouter. So all you have to do is start dialing the number. Now, we don't have all of the POPs down. We just have some of the POPs down. So we may get denies here, and we may need to go in and add some of the other additional POPs here. We're working on this. We're going to make it so that you can do ranges and things of that nature inside of carrier groups. But right now, you do have to list each IP. So let's go ahead and bring up SNgrep and see if we can connect to this box so that you can see what's going on. So let's try and do that. All right, so we are on this box now. Okay. So let's start up SNgrep so we can actually see what's happening here. All right, so I'm going to call this phone number and let's see what happens. Let me just go back and grab that phone number. Okay. And let's see, 1313 486 0408. All right. All right. So we see the number come in from FlowRoute. This is the number here. And so we see a invite come through here from this carrier, and basically dSIP's like, I don't know who you are. All right. So what we'll do is just add the IP address of that server to our list. There's also another one. Try it again from another server here. So look, we'll go over to the carrier groups here, and we'll add that endpoint in. We'll add that one, and we'll just add another one. Call the same name. And the IP of this one is here. Okay. Okay. Update that. Reload. And let's go ahead and do another phone call. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that.
Please leave your message after the tone. When done, hang up.
All right, great. So that number is coming into from the carrier, which in this case is FlowRoute, right? And then from there, it hits the dSIPRouter box here, and then it gets forwarded over to the FreePBX server, which is here. Okay, so this is all working as expected. The ladder looks good. This is great. So this is a very simple way that you can set up a DID inside of dSIPRouter. You even saw that we had to go through a little troubleshooting to ensure that the actual IP address of the carrier was whitelisted inside of dSIPRouter. And so you got to see the whole process of what happens in order to get a DID there. So now that you understand what that looks like, we're going to move on to talking through how to do, inbound routes, leveraging the import feature, and that is where we actually have a CSV file. So let's jump into that now. Okay, so now let's talk about importing DIDs. This is more of a bulk import type of capability that we added to dSIPRouter a while back. We don't talk much about it, but this is the reason why we're doing this video. So the first thing we want to do here is download the example CSV file. All right, so I have the sample CSV file down. So what we're going to do is add some DIDs to it. So I am going to go back to my local machine here, and it was downloaded to downloads, DID, example. I have two of them. Let's just do this one, CSV. All right. So really simple, format we need to follow. We're just going to have a phone number. The endpoint group ID is going to go to, and then the name if we want to. So the first thing we need to do is get the endpoint group ID. So this is the endpoint group that we created, the FreePBX group here. So the ID here is 11. So that's what we're going to use inside of our CSV file here. Now, if I had multiple endpoints, then I would have endpoint groups, then I would use different ones. But I'm just going to just make up some phone numbers here. 12. We're just going to write those, and then we're going to go back over to our inbound routes, click on import, and we're going to choose a file here, and we're going to choose the one we just added. And then we're going to click add. All right. Cool. So what you see here is a set of numbers that were imported, right? Pretty simplistic. But this is something that will make your life a lot easier if you have a bunch of DIDs and you want to route them to different PBXs. The other thing I'm going to talk about now that we've talked about the importing is how to do hard forwarding, and this is something that the product has had it for a while. It was inspired by a customer that we had that wanted the ability to be able to route phone numbers to different carriers. For example, let's just say inbound call comes in. And they wanted to route it out to a different carrier. So let's say it comes in from FlowRoute, and then they want to route it out to Lumen. That was one of the use cases for this whole feature, but we found that people are using it differently. So I thought it was interesting to at least talk about it. So what I'm going to do is go back over to the original DID that we used, that we did inbound call for. I'm going to edit that. I'm going to enable hard forwarding. So I'm going to specify that I want this call to be forwarded to a different phone number is the use case here. And that wasn't what it was really built for. It was, again, built for, like as you see here, once the number comes in, I can actually route it out to another carrier. Let's just say SkyTel if we wanted to, right? That's what it really was designed for. But we found that customers are using it to like forward it to a different phone number within a on a particular media server. So maybe we can look at a slide here to kind of explain this in better detail. So here we have dSIPRouter sitting in the middle. We have a carrier A here. In our case, it's going to be flow route. Here goes the DID here that's coming inbound, ends in 0408. It gets routed over to dSIPRouter. With hard forwarding enabled, we actually can change the phone number to this DID and then forward it to the FreePBX server. So that's what we're going to do here. This is a use case where your media servers have a different DID defined than what's coming from your carrier. I don't know. This may be for different situations where maybe you're switching over from one carrier to another, and so you have another phone number that you're using to forward to it, or maybe the customer has another phone number from a different carrier that's coming into dSIPRouter, and you need to translate it to the phone number that is on the media server. I don't know. There's multiple use cases for this, but I'm going to show how you can do it fairly simple. So this number here, 155-244-4000, and we'll try and remember that. So we're going to forward it to 1-555. I've already forgot it. So 2444-4000. So 244-4000. All right. I think I have this number down. So 555-244-4000. Nope, I screwed this all up. All right. So I think that's it. All right, cool. So I got that phone number the way I need it. And then I'm going to say I wanted to route it to FreePBX, right? So we got hard forwarding in place, meaning that it's going to override whatever endpoint group that I have defined here. In this case, we're still routing it to the same endpoint group, but we're just changing the phone number. So that was the thing that I found unique, because it wasn't really defined. It wasn't really created for this use case, but they did it. So let's go ahead and we're going to reload. Sure it goes. We're going to pull up our log back into the server again. All right, and we're going to use sgrep, and we're going to see if this works as expected. Let me clear our thing here. There it goes. And so let me call it from my phone. And if I didn't fat finger the phone number, we should be good.
That extension 2001 is unavailable. Please leave your message after.
All right, so let's see what happened here. All right. So let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger here. So call came in. Oh, okay. It came in from another carrier here. So it came in from a different phone number here. So came in from 114. Here goes the phone number here. And then the IP address of the PBX box is here. You see it translated it to this number. And it routed it to the FreePBX server. So this is exactly what we wanted to show here, is that you could easily translate a DID from one DID to another using this hard forwarding feature. So I thought that was pretty cool that they're able to do that. So all right, so that was the other thing that I wanted to really talk about for inbound routes. So let's review what we did today. So the first thing we did was actually set up a simple DID and pointed it to an endpoint group. Second thing we did was actually import a set of DIDs into dSIPRouter. And then lastly, we talked about hard forwarding, and we showed how to use it and explained what it was designed for and how one of our customers is using it differently. If you saw value in all of the things you saw today, please click the subscribe button. This will let us know that you enjoyed the material and that we should generate and create other material similar to this. Also, if you want to know more about dSIPRouter and want to get deeper into configuring dSIPRouter, we actually have an admin guide that we actually created to be part of our class. But now we're actually selling that particular lab guide by itself. So there's a link to that lab guide below. All right, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.